Welcome. This podcast is an exploration into being human and what's possible when there's less attention on the noise in our heads. Warning. While listening to this broadcast, you may experience moments of deep peace, sighs of relief, personal insights, or long stretches of dead air. Do not be afraid. This is normal. Under the Noise with Win Morgan and Kate Roberts.
Welcome to Under the Noise. I'm Kate Roberts, and I'm here with my co-host, Win Morgan. Hi, Win.
Hello, Kate. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm really well too, thanks very much. I'm just happy that I made you laugh.
You make me laugh every time.
There we go, second time. Third. Hey.
You always make me laugh when you ask me that.
I know, it's bizarre.
I know, it's so weird.
Yeah. I
Well.
had no idea I was this funny.
Oh, Win. I'm gonna let that one just...
Good. Because I know it has nothing to do with me. It's just that for some reason that makes you laugh every time.
It does. It does. I'm glad to see you.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Should we tell everyone it's been a while since we recorded?
It has been a while. A long while.
Yeah, it has. It has. And you had an idea for today. Something that apparently I said in a recent episode.
That's correct. So I was doing some editing for a previous episode that we did to get that up online and post that. And there was something that you said. It was in the episode that we did called The Suffering and Seeking. And one thing that you had said in that episode was something like, well, to me, seeking and resistance are the same thing. And when you said that, and it had been a while since we had recorded it, and I didn't remember you saying that when we were doing it. But then in editing, sometimes I go back and I'm listening and I hear things that you say or that I say that are just on point for something in my life. But I was listening back and editing, and you said the seeking and the resistance are the same. And I just thought that that would be a really cool place to start for an episode.
Yeah. And what was it about that statement that intrigued you?
Well, I don't know if I've ever heard someone say it in those exact words. And it made me wonder what you meant by it. Like, how do they look the same to you? And then I think I wondered if you were talking about the energy behind them was the same. The feelings of them are the same. I wasn't sure so actually it just made me really curious.
Yeah. Well, what's the word?
Disclosure. Full disclosure?
I'll divulge. Yeah, because I can't remember what the long that word is. I'll divulge, right? Because I can't remember saying it. But when you repeated it before we started recording, you said, what about this? And I went, well, that's true. Seeking and resistance are really coming from the same place. But I can't remember saying it. However, fresh now, I can see in what way it makes sense to me right now. So resisting is not being okay with what is now. Which I know a lot of us do. I know I do. And a number of times, and I remember being in this camp as well, we hope that understanding how we work, the three principles as discovered by Sydney Banks, is that a lot of us hope that that's a method in order to feel something better. I'm struggling right now, therefore I can use the principles to feel better. And every time I hear that from people, I realize that, well, that won't work, because that's not how the principles work. It's kind of like, it's not about the application of it. It also, it's pointing to, in my mind anyway, the three principles that we talk about, or how well we are made emotionally and psychologically, makes it okay to feel anything. And at a certain level of consciousness, every single emotion I can feel is a gift. Because feeling is something that this entity won't always be able to do. This physical being, this matter blob, won't always be able to have emotions. I remember resisting lots of emotions, and in the resistance of them, they would last longer. So that might have been a topic we've discussed in the past. So, summary of that in my mind right now is that me resisting is that where I am and what I'm feeling right now isn't okay. I want it to go away. Well, seeking to me is hoping that there's something better when I find what I'm seeking. Which to me is the same thing, because where I am right now isn't good enough. So instead of kind of dwelling on where I am right now, seeking is looking there in order for that to be different from where I am right now. But it's the same thing, really. It's saying that I'm not okay with what I'm feeling, where I'm at right now. And the energy is of the same, because it's still kind of, I don't know, not being at peace with where I'm at. When I'm not at peace with where I'm at, whether I'm looking for something different or just not liking where I am and resisting that, I'm going to struggle. And cognitively, I'll be churning stuff over in my mind. I'll be thinking a lot. I'm forgetting that it's the quality of my thinking right now is what makes where I'm at and what I'm feeling not okay. So that's my initial answer to the question.
That makes so much sense to me. It's funny too, because I've called myself a seeker. I'm sure multiple times in my life, as if that's like this badge of honor that I wear around, as if that's, I've heard people say it too. I'm the ultimate seeker. I'm a seeker, right? It is. It's like this award we won or something for looking deeper into life and its mysteries, right? I don't know what we're saying is my experience I'm having isn't enough. So I'm seeking outside of me, right? Because that's where I'm going to find it. That's technically what we're saying. And that's exactly how I've lived. That what I'm looking for is out there. It's away from me. It's not part of me. Or that's funny that that seemed like a good thing. And, you know, one of the biggest things in my life that I've seen over the last, I don't know, 5 years since I started, since I, you know, found the understanding, or it found me rather, was how completely my personal mind picked up not enoughness. And it's like this running theme in my life, right? So it's going to find not enoughness in every little area of my life. And it's become more visible to me. That kind of thinking. I've noticed it more and realized how much of that I've carried around in my life and how I'm creating it all the time. But I didn't realize when I walk around calling myself a seeker and stuff like that, I'm basically wearing my not enoughness hat and showing everybody like it's like it's the badge that I wear. That's so funny. We're so funny. All right, so I have another question for you though, Wen. Why does resistance feel so much worse sometimes than seeking? Like to me, there's almost like a deeper level, this resistance to life or whatever experience is showing up. It feels worse to me than seeking, even if it has the same energy.
Yeah. Well, my initial response to that would be that seeking can feel a lot lighter because it can be just a pondering into something different. It's not the same as kicking and screaming that can be there with resistance. It's not me as a 2-year-old having a tantrum, which I will still do. You know, decades after I was 2 years old, many decades, I can still go there. I think seeking can be taken more lightly, which is why it seems like more variable to me as to how the feeling doesn't seem so kind of like, I don't know, entrenched and tight. So, you know, as an example is, hey, I'm just seeking a bit more truth. Well, that feels light compared to, well, I'm seeking enoughness. And that's, I think, where anything can be taken too literally, because any single word can be thought of in many ways. So you listening to wherever you're listening to this right now, you might have a different meaning that you have to any of the words about seeking and resistance, which is totally natural. That shows how our separate realities are. And yet at the same time, it's great to notice the feeling. In my mind, it's great for us to notice the feeling in whether we're seeking or resisting. Because the feeling tells us how off we are. The feeling tells me, wait a minute. How full of, insert favorite curse word, am I right now with what's going on in my head? But going back to your point, another reason I think is because seeking seems more noble. There's a badge of honor to seeking, so no wonder it feels better. Well, resistance. And unless it's in a conflict situation, right? We are the resistance, resisting the evil empire. And not even on our planet, but when we have stories that human beings have made up, like Star Wars, right? Head of the rebellion, which is another way for saying resistance, right? Well, they were the heroes compared to the Empire. Before I get too into sci-fi kind of stuff, and I'm pretty sure someone will correct me in that. Anyway, but you get my point. That there's the seeking seems to be, you're right, more of a let's go on a plane and seek. I mean, Eat, Pray, Love, the book, and then turned into a movie, right? I think I watched it. I went to see it because it was a date night. It would not have been my movie of choice, right? Another full disclosure moment. I actually quite enjoyed it more than I would admit. And because of who wrote it, and I've read another few of her books, I've actually read the book too. But that's about seeking. So there's a romance about even the notion of seeking that can be there. And it still comes back to where I am right now ain't good enough.
Or who I am.
Sorry, go on.
Or who I am.
Right, and I think that's the key thing. If we're seeking a better version of ourselves or seeking something that makes us feel okay about who we are, I think that's when seeking's gone awry.
Mm.
That's where it can't be found out there. Getting on a plane and eating the food and etc. Because it's funny, right? And I don't know about every single spiritual teaching, but everyone I've come across so far is at the end of all our spiritual seeking is realizing we already were where we were. Already were not only enough, but more magnificent than we ever gave ourselves credit for. More perfect than we thought possible. And had everything we ever needed and didn't know it. It was always inside. And even as I say those words now and feel them, that's such a beautiful thing to even contemplate the truth of that. And the other thing that just popped into my head, it's very common that people think that they are a work in progress and there's work to be done in order to be a better version of themselves, live their best life, fill in the blanks, whatever that is. And from that paradigm, no wonder seeking is a good thing. Because we're seeking the better that we think could exist beyond where I am today. Yet, I think it's a falsehood. It's coming back to the pure innocent perfection that we always were, but just forgot as we have, thinking that looks really real otherwise to us. That we have a story of not enoughness that sometimes drops up, we think it once, and all of a sudden it looks true. And we find evidence to back that up. Because the mind would do that. Any hypothesis that we have will see things that back that up, but it's based upon an initial falsehood. It's coming back to the origin as opposed to, I don't know, fixing ourselves or finding the better version of ourselves. It's like the hero's journey. Right? Like we have to leave home in order to come back. But we come back to where we were, but just didn't realize that all we ever needed was to find home, and home was never out there. It's a long answer to your question about seeking.
I'm gonna share something really personal. I know, right? Your eyes got very big for those people.
Hold on to your hats, everyone. This better be good.
So I just had this insight when you said that. There was this time, a long time ago. It's a long time ago, before I can't say seeking, because there was always this internal looking, I feel like, even from a very young age. But before I really got started into my seeking stage of life, I can remember looking in the mirror one morning before work and feeling utter despair. I'm not even sure if I've said that word despair in something that I've ever said about myself, but I can distinctly remember the moment. And I thought, oh my God, is this it? Like, is this it? Forever? And so when you're in that place, seeking does feel better. It's almost like a step up, because in the seeking, there's a possibility for more on offer. And we're literally made of possibility. And so if you're willing to look, willing to feel that there's more to seek at all, there's not this like, oh my gosh, this is it, despair, right? Because you've stepped up and you're like, actually, maybe there's something else possible for my life. And so now I'm going to go into the seeking because it seems like it's out there somewhere. So it's almost like it's like the hint of possibility in seeking. That makes it a step up from despair. But then, of course, our personal minds get in it and they're like, oh, it's definitely there. It's out there. It's in this relationship. It's in the money. It's in the spiritual teachings and understandings, this thing out here. That's what our minds know what to do. It's just pushing us outside of ourselves for the answers, for the possibilities. Until you end up one day and this understanding finds you. and points you back inside. To your wholeness and completeness. And you don't know why, but you know it's true. I love that. Thanks, Wynn.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you for your quote.
Yeah, and I was surprised I said it. I said that? Really? Sounds really true and really wise. I said that? Yeah. Just shows how impersonal wisdom is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It does that.
Yeah. And within every one of us, that, as you said, that space is where wisdom and intelligence reside. And everywhere else. That's where I can feel it deep. That inner knowing. My ego and intellect are quiet enough for me to hear something deeper, more profound, more whole. Going back to that word. So thank you, Kate. And any questions, comments, or shares from you listening, we'd love to hear them. And if there's an angle that you'd like us to explore in a future episode, please let us know too. We always love hearing from you, and our details follow in the outro from Kate and where you found the podcast today. You've been listening to this week's episode of Under the Noise with my wonderful co-host Kate Roberts and me, Wynn Morgan. And we look forward to sharing again with you soon. Take care and have a great week.
Thanks for joining us. We'd love for you to subscribe, rate, and review. If you have a topic or question that you'd like us to chat about, email Wynn or Kate at wynn@winning.co.uk and Kate at katerobertscoaching.com. Until then, enjoy what's possible under the noise.